Hi, welcome, and thank you for joining in. A quick tip before you go any further. All programs discussed in the videos have links in the description below. You can click and look at them and understand them better. And also don't forget to subscribe. Hi everyone, we start with the basics of Python programming. We'll start with the introduction to Python, Python advantages and disadvantages. We'll look at some working environments. We'll work a little bit in an interactive and script mode. We'll also write a short program. We'll look at some print statements and then we'll look briefly at data types. Now, in the year 1990, Guido von Rossum introduced the world to a new programming language called Python. He's still one of the language principal authors and contributors, and he's received this title of Benevolent Dictator for Life, lovingly from the Python community. When he was implementing Python, Guido von Rossum was also reading the published manuscript of a very famous BBC comedy series from the 1970s called Monty Python's Flying Circus. They were also called the Pythons. That's how he got inspired to keep this as the name for his programming language. Let's look at the advantages of Python. Python is open source. That means it's easy to download and start working without having to pay any license fee or subscription. It's simple, that means it's got a very straightforward syntax, unlike other programming, high-level programming languages like C, C++, and Java. It's very readable, you can understand, you'll be able to understand the syntax, and you'll also be able to debug very easily. It's interpreted, that means it will be compiling each line, and in the end, the interpreter will make an executable file for you. It's object-oriented. That means that you can create classes and objects which you can reuse later. It's got a library available. That means you will have some modules already created in those libraries, which you can import and start using in your programs. It's cross-platform. That means that you create it in one operating system. You can use it across other operating systems as well. It's dynamically typed language. That means as you go, you will declare the variables. You do not need to specifically declare these in the beginning of the program. We come to some of the disadvantages of Python, that is slow execution. When there's a long and huge program with 10,000 lines of code, the execution of Python becomes slow. It has some conversion problems in case you're trying to convert it into another language. Because Python is so simple, it will be difficult to convert to another language. It has lesser library support, which is understandable considering that it's a new language in comparison to the other languages. But nevertheless, Python is one of the best languages to learn right now. We look at the IDE, or integrated development environments, for Python, which are basically editors for developers to code and debug programs. They are intelligent, they have built-in help so that they assist you with your syntax. Some of the popular IDEs are IDLE, that is Integrated Development and Learning Environment, which is the default editor that comes with Python. There's PyCharm, there's Spider, Jupyter Lab. We also have this website, www.tutorialspoint.com, which I'm going to extensively use to create programs, and which you will be able to use also without having to download either Python or MySQL in the coming days. There are various options available to download Python. We can go to the official website, www.python.org, click on the download Python.3.8.5 and choose whatever operating system we're working with. We can also pick Anaconda and choose the individual edition, where we can now download and get two editors. One is Spider, the other is Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab. Another popular option is PyCharm, which is available on the website www.jetbrains.com. You can download it free from there. There's also the option of using this website tutorialspoint.com to write online programs for Python. For this purpose, you will create a login. Once you've created a login and given yourself a password, you can always create a new project. And once you create a new project, you can choose the option of Python 3. Start writing your program here. Suppose you've written print hello.world. You can click on execute and it will show you the output right next to it. So this is what we are going to use, and this is something that you can use to work online without having to download any software, without working even on a computer or a laptop, because this can be done even on your smartphone. So let's start checking out some of these environments. So first we start with Python IDLE, which will now be there in your start menu. You can click on the Python 3.8 IDLE. When we click, we will get the shell or the interactive mode. The interactive mode means that if you're going to type out anything, it will get printed there itself. Now, we cannot save anything in this particular mode. To be able to save files in Python, we need to work in the editor or script mode. To open that, we go to File, New File. So whatever is written in this particular file will be saved. We can now save the file, giving it a name. And the extension py.py. Save this file, and then you can click on Run. The output shows up in the shell mode. This file can be run as many times as we want. If we make any changes to it and run this program, run this module, it will ask to be saved. You can now see the changes in the output. To work with Anaconda, we go to Anaconda Navigator. The Anaconda Navigator gives us a dashboard where we have two editors as options, Jupyter Lab and Spider. We can launch any one of these. We'll start with Jupyter Lab, which will open a window in our browser. Jupyter Lab will open a new tab in your browser with the address of localhost. You can go to File, New, pick a new notebook, select the kernel Python 3, write your program in the cell. You can save this by going to File, Save Notebook As, give a name to your file. Save it, and you can click on Run to run the program to see the output. This is how Jupyter Notebook works. We can also choose Spider as our editor. When we launch Spider, it will open a new window. In Spider, there are three panes, one where you write your program, and this is your editor or script mode, and the other is your variable explorer. The third one is your console, or it is also the place where you can see your output. You can also use the console as an interactive mode. So if we've written a program here, we can save this by going to File, Save As. We can click on the Run button to run this program, and we'll see the output in the console. Now, if we write something here, we can also see that output right here, like in the interactive mode. So this is how Spider works. In the latest versions of Anaconda, the Start menu will have Jupyter Notebook and Spider on your Start menu. I will now use the website tutorialspoint.com to write my programs, which you can also do by creating a login for yourself. Once you have created a login, you can save all your projects here. First, you start by using new project. Go to Python, click on Python. You will be able to get this kind of an editor. Once you have that editor, you will give the title to your project. The title can be saved using save project. And once you've saved the project and you've written your program, you can click on execute and see the output right here. This resource also has stdin, which you can use to input anything in case your program has an input statement. Once you've done all this, you basically can see your projects later at any time whenever you log in on this website, which means that this website is available to you everywhere and at all times, and all your saved programs are available here. Once you've got all your programs saved here, you do not need the laptop or computer. You can even do it on your smartphone. You do not need to download any software. We now start with the print statement, which is basically our output statement of Python. There are various ways in which you can print the output. If it is a string which is written within quotes, basically any kind of text or any symbols, numbers written within quotes will get printed as it is. The print statement has the keyword print with small p. And after print, we put brackets. Anything within the brackets is basically going to get output. So here we have the string output, Python programming. If I do not put anything in the brackets, it leaves a blank line. If I put the sum of numbers, it will output the sum. I can make it more meaningful by using a string along with the sum, with the comma, and that gives me the output. The sum of 5 and 6 is 11. If I say print 12 divided by 6, it gives me an output 2.0. Basically, it changes these two numbers into a floating point. We'll come to data types in a minute. We can print more than one string using single quotes also, and that has to be separated by commas. If I want no space between these three text, then I need a parameter called sep and equal to quotes with no space between them. That will put the text together. If I put more space in the parameter sep, it will give me an output like this. If I put comma in this, it will give me an output with commas. If I put a pipe, it will give me the separator as pipe. So the print statement can be worked around with in lots of ways, and we'll be looking at it in the coming chapters. We now discuss basic data types in Python very briefly with the help of an example. We start with strings. We write anything within double quotes or single quotes, it becomes a string. It could be a single line, multiple line. It could consist of alphabets, numbers, special characters. Anything within the quotes is basically a string. A number could be a decimal number, positive, negative, 0. And if it's written as 0O and the number is written, that becomes an octal number, but it's still data type int. If I write 0x and then I write a number, it's a hexadecimal number, but it will still return int. 0b, basically a binary number, will also be considered int. So any of these numbers, decimal, hexadecimal, binary or octal, all will return the class int if I use the function type to display what is the class or what is the data type of this particular number. In this example, I've also used a complex number which is written like this, the number along with j. J here is the mathematical equivalent of I, where we write I for complex numbers, it will return class complex. If I write a number with a decimal place, it's called a floating point number or a float. So it returns class float. If I give only the values true or false with a capital T and a capital F, that is particularly a class bool, basically Boolean. Either it can have value true or it can have value false, no other value. So that's a little bit about data types in Python. We shall be discussing these in detail later on in the coming chapters. Before you go, don't forget to click on the links in the description below. They'll help you understand the programs better. Also subscribe to the channel, click on the bell icon so that every time I upload a new video, you'll know of it. See you soon. Bye bye.